All right, what's up? Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Sorry for a slight delay. Some tech issues on Facebook, so unfortunately not live on Instagram right now. But we will certainly load it up to IGTV and get it up there later on today. But good to see everybody on Q&A Monday. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE, lead faculty for our cervical and lumbar spine courses. And it is Q&A Monday. I love Q&A Monday. Had some really good ones, but had one that I was really eager to go after, talking about quotes. So we're gonna hammer that out. If you have not gotten in your gut check Thursday, still plenty of time. It's a spicy one. I knocked this out yesterday after doing Karen, which might not have been the best call, but I did that. In the gut check Thursday is 250 meter row. Then you're going to alternate between American kettlebell swings, 15 of those, 53-35, and 10 burpees, a couple rounds, back to a 250 meter row, 2 more rounds of KB swings, American and burpees, and then finishing with a 250 meter row. My time was 9:53 and my legs were smoked, and they are smoked right now. So make sure to get that in, tag Ice Physio, hashtag Ice Trained. Would love to see some more of those float in before Alan gives us a new one on Thursday morning. Courses coming up. We have our new primary care PT course with Morgan Denny and Eric Chaconis. Launches 8-week online, launches March 1st. We have total spine thrust manipulation with Justin Dunaway out in his stomping grounds of Portland, March 7-8. And then we've got clinical management of the fitness athlete right here at my gym at CrossFit Endure here in Fort Collins, Colorado, March 14th, 15th. Alan and Mitch coming out for that. Clancy's going to be helping us out. I'll be here. Can't wait for that course. So a lot of good stuff coming up. I'll be in Omaha, Nebraska this weekend. We've got 60 people at that course, but it's all locked up. So no availability there. I don't have an open course for a few months that has seats available. But let's jump into the topic. So Q&A Monday. What are my 5 favorite quotes or quotes to live by? Well, the first 2, I would be remiss if I didn't mention them, but it's also fair to say that I belabor them, so we don't need to spend more time on them this morning. And those are number 1 from Cameron Haynes, nobody cares, work harder. If you have not heard episode 608, I literally just did a whole episode on that quote, so we can skip that for this morning. And number 2, the one that I probably cite more often for a longer period of time here on PT on Ice than anything else that I say, is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I have unpacked that quote from every dimension of business, but it is near and dear to my heart. So I've got to say both of those before we jump into the 4 that I want to elaborate on. So these 4 I don't talk about as much. And I love this question because it made me kind of sit back and think about which quotes really do guide my decision making and my thoughts about business and personal development. And I think these 4 carry some particularly unique value for me. And I'll share them with you. Number 1 was by Henry Ford. And that was, if I asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. I love that quote because it's that constant reminder to be willing to innovate, right? I think of that all the time. Like every time I think about how we're going to develop our next phase of business, I'm always thinking about that quote that, don't be afraid to innovate. Don't feel that other people need to tell you where to go. Follow your heart and follow your gut. Because if you're doing something legitimately original, right, the people shouldn't be able to tell you they want it. Now, they should be delighted on the back end, right? They should be surprised and delighted in hindsight. They should say things like, man, I never would have thought about that, but I'm so glad you developed it because that's exactly what I needed, right? If you're being truly original, that should be something you're hearing all the time because they couldn't see it, but you did. That's what made you unique in that space. Now, my concern is if you aren't being truly original, like if you're just trying to do an existing service better or make it cheaper, I'm concerned about your longevity. From my heart, I really am, because so much energy comes from originality, right? And originality is expressed by creativity, right? Like being creative and feeling where you want to go next. And being original is a wellspring of energy. But if you're not doing that and you're just trying to make money by taking something that already exists and maybe making it more marketable, like I'm concerned about that longevity wise. I know a lot of people who are making quite a bit of money whose longevity I would not bet on because I don't think they're being creative. I don't think they're being original. And I don't think that you can do that. I think it has an expiration date. I don't think that way of behaving or doing business is going to give back to you for time eternity. I think that that is eventually going to flame out. So I think, being original has a million different benefits in being innovative. And that quote reminds you of it. One other thing to think about is that trying to please everybody and do what people ask of you versus offering your original creativity is a slippery slope, right? Like, I'm not saying don't get feedback and find trends in that feedback and act on it. Like, that makes good sense. But do stay away from trying to ask the people and give everybody what they want, right? Instead, execute your vision that is near and dear to your heart, that was originally developed, and let the people who that really hits between the eyes, let the people who say, boy, that really speaks to me, let them support it. That is your market niche. Don't try to please everybody. You do you be authentic, original, and creative, and let the people who say, gosh, that really resonates with me, I think I'm going to go your direction. Those are your people. That is your marketplace. You don't want the whole marketplace. You want to figure out who your people are and over deliver for them. And I think innovation, originality, and creativity really cater towards that. So I think Henry Ford's quote is a really good call to all of us who are trying to be entrepreneurs, if you will, or create businesses, to trust our gut and trust our instinct and do what matters to us, not just always trying to respond to the whims of everybody who says, oh, you know what I'd really like is blank. Okay, number 3 is from Seth Godin. And we've had conversations over the years on this one. I remember years back in like 2016, us having a great conversation on Therapy Insiders on burnout, where this quote kind of came up a few times. But that is, instead of worrying when your next vacation is, try building a life you don't need a vacation from. I think that one should really sink into a lot of people, right? That I'm not saying don't go enjoy yourself and have experiences and go do cool things with friends and family. I mean, as my kids are getting older, like, we try to bring them on all of our work trips, and take an extra day on one side or the other and create experiences. Those are wonderful parts of life. But if you constantly find yourself in need of vacation, like you need to get away, something's off, right? Like, if you're constantly feeling this need to escape, something isn't right. And I think the big question is, when have you ever run away from something and it got better? I think it's worth thinking about that. Like whenever have you ran away from something challenging and it dramatically improved? I think we have to ask ourselves, what are we trying to get away from, and what parts of it are fixable? As opposed to hoping that running away is going to make any substantive change. Can we ask ourselves, what is it I'm trying to get away from? Like, am I stressed out because I always have to be on, right? Like, my job is always pestering me. Can we make one time block, even 45 minutes, 40 minutes a day, that you turn off all your social media, and that time is sacred, right? So you're able to step away, even if only for a moment. Would that be enough? Isn't a batch of hard conversations that need to be had. This is what I find all the time when I talk to folks who are, from a business perspective, burnt out. There's often a small amount of challenging conversations they're not having, that are festering, that need to be had. Have them. Have them right now. Hop off this podcast and have them. Right? Talk to that employee or that colleague who has been driving you crazy because they're not doing something that you know needs to be done, and have that tough conversation. Tell the individual that you can't be a part of a certain project for a reason that it's been draining you, but if you don't get off that project, the flame is going out. Have those hard conversations sooner versus later. I think oftentimes those undiscussed things are what are burning us out. So think about those things. What are you trying to run away from? It's not going to get better by doing so. How can we lean into it? Maybe from a more philosophical level, and I hope this isn't going too far for the show, but, appreciate that it's the trials and the challenges that are our opportunities to develop. It is those things, right? It is in the trenches, not on the beach, that we become who we're meant to be. It is the adversity that reveals our character. Every time we choose to escape it, we're taking away that opportunity. I think that's what really sinks in for me anyhow as the individual trying to develop, is that every time I choose to run from it, I can't grow from it. The more time we spend in the trenches, the more chances we have for development. Roll that around a little bit today and let me know how it feels. Okay, 2 more. I hope I'm not going to, I think I'm okay time-wise. All right, 2 more. This one's from Gandhi, and that is that peace exists when what you think, say, and do are all in harmony. I used to have a shirt that said that. But that one is a guiding star. And what it says to me is, avoid like the plague anything or anybody that forces you even for a moment to be inauthentic. Because it is only when what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in harmony that you are going to have peace. And it's only when you have peace inside of yourself that you can really connect and do your most meaningful work. Avoid like the plague anything that causes you to be inauthentic. This is where my challenges come, right? With really big national conferences, we've talked about that before, social media, areas where it's hard to get down below the surface level, right? These networking spaces. It's a lot where get good, not busy comes from, right? Stop trying to grow so much, right? From an amount of people following us standpoint, and instead drill deeper. Because the reality is, it's hard to be likable or make good impressions on everybody in large spaces unless you're sacrificing to some level your authenticity, because we naturally have disagreements with people. But if you're not in an environment where you can drill down far enough to explain those to each other, which actually often winds up with very deep friendships and a lot of really profound respect for one another in our different opinions, but if you're not in an environment that allows for that kind of drilling down, that you can't get there, then unless it's going to be extraordinarily awkward, you have to be sort of inauthentic and not voice your ideas in full, right? So that everyone kind of gets along, right? So the awkwardness is not on board, which I think steals or robs you of authenticity. And I think when that happens, what you think, say, and do aren't in harmony. And whenever there isn't harmony there, you can't do your best work. You can't be your best self. And so I think just always challenging yourself in every scenario, choosing people to be around, choosing projects to take, choosing environments to exist in. Is there anything about them that inherently is going to challenge your ability to have what you think, say, and do all be in perfect harmony? And if it is, I would encourage you to run. And I would encourage you to seek out only environments that foster those things being in line. Okay, the last one is Eastern philosophy as well, right? And this is one that I have shared with pretty much everybody who I have mentored over the years from a business perspective, and that is relax. Nothing is under your control. Relax. Nothing is under your control, right? There's probably no quote that brings me more peace every time I think about it than that one, because it's your constant reminder that you can't control the results. You just can't. There's too many variables. What you can control is your effort. You can always have perfect effort. The results, in the vast majority of cases, are well outside of your control because of the absolutely innumerable variables in any given contest. So it makes you refocus on perfect effort and stop worrying about the outcome or the results, which is what brings you a massive amount of peace of mind. Relax. Nothing is under your control. Right? I've heard that quoted from a variety of individuals in Eastern philosophy, but I think it's worth hanging on to. The other thing it does is it makes you remember to not just look at people who have quote unquote won or thrived, right? Not just to focus on those people, but to focus on people who maybe haven't ultimately been the victor, but have tried incredibly hard, have been incredibly innovative. Because it's not always people who are on the top, it's people who have the most creative ways to attempt to get there. That variables that were out of their control wound up where they weren't on top of the mountain when it was all said and done. But there was a massive amount to learn from their perfect effort. So I think it's one of those things when you're looking at who to be mentored from and who to learn from in business and in development, is that it's not always the person who wound up on top. Because sometimes outcomes can't be controlled. It's the person who had the most perfect effort along the way. Relax. Nothing's under your control. Let it go. What you can do is try your best every time. So those are quotes that mean a lot to me. Nobody Cares, Work Harder is classic. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's an everyday, all day here on the podcast. But the other ones, if I asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Trust yourself and innovate. Instead of wondering where your next vacation is, maybe build a life you don't need a vacation from. I've never ran away from something hard that got better, right? Face it. Have the conversations. Rebuild your life. Reorganize. Zoom out. Peace exists when what you think, say, and do are all in harmony. Avoid, like the plague, anything that encourages inauthenticity. And finally, relax, because none of it's under your control. Perfect effort you can give every day. Don't sweat the outcome. That's not what you're going to measure yourself on years down the road. You're going to look back and say, did I leave it all on the field? Not did we win. Winning will be hard to even quantify. Usually the navigational buoys are tough to box in. The question is, did I do my best? I hope those are meaningful. Have an awesome day, everybody. Feel free to hit me up, as always, ptonice.com for the courses. Would love to hear your favorite quotes. Those of you who did a video on 5 things that you have learned in your career, I loved every one of those. I would feel the same way about quotes. I know we share them often, but anybody who wants to jump underneath this video and share their quotes and why, I would love to hear about that. Folks, I'm sorry for the tech difficulties on Instagram. Hopefully this came through okay on Facebook. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for being here. I will see you, I think, probably not till next week, Thursday. Cheers, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.